time tonight. I'm going to share with you another thought tonight, and you'll get that one another time. And that sermon's Go, Sow, and Grow. So, but stay tuned for that. Matthew chapter 5 this evening, we'll look at a thought and kind of piggyback on what was said in the men's meeting. You know, when you think about it, I want you to think about somebody who has influenced your life. It doesn't matter if you're LeBron James, Michael Jordan, or Peyton Manning, or whoever you are, whether you're the president. We all have influence. It doesn't matter from the oldest in our church to the youngest in our church. We all have influence, and whether we realize it or not, you know, people are watching us. They're looking at our lives. They see the things that we do, and you know, even more so with the media. You can probably turn this up a little bit. It's a little low. But when social media has made everything, people's thoughts and everything, influence so many other people today. We get things on things we send out from the church, and we get people that make comments about them, and they're influenced by them. And so people are always influenced by our lives. They're influenced by the things that we say, the things that we do. They're influenced by us as a church. There was a Brother James Bickler, a good friend of mine, Deacon Greg's father. He told me he used to go visit a church on Wednesday night. He said, so we can see really what the real church acts like, you know, or what the real church is like. So, you know, they were influenced to join Bethany because they went on Wednesday nights. That's when they would visit the church, and you can tell a lot. But our influence here in Matthew chapter 5 and verse 13, you're the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing but to be cast out and be trodden under foot of men. You're the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. And you might say tonight that I don't want to influence. I just want to live my life. Well, you can't do that. As a child of God, we all have influence over somebody. There's somebody that looks up to us, whether you realize it, whether it's at work, whether it's at school, whether it's at the daycare, whether it's on the bus, whether it's the grocery store that you go to, any of the places you go to, we all carry some amount of influence. And Jesus writes here about it. He said, you're the salt of the earth. You that are children of God, you who are saved, that we're the very salt of the earth. You know, they used to pay, salt was so valuable that they paid men with salt. That's where we get the word salary. And we say a guy's worth his salt. Because salt was very, very expensive. And if you, how many of you like salt? How many of you like a little food with your salt? All right. If you don't really realize the value of salt till you eat hospital food, right? You know, I've never been in a hospital, so you had the kids there, and they would bring out a steak dinner. When Little Baptist Hospital down in Montgomery, they bring out a steak dinner, and it was good, but it didn't have any salt in it. You know, so. You know, a little salt can go a long way, and so our influence, listen, our influence can go so far. You know, I get so many good comments when people visit our church. They say, well, it feels like a family there. It feels like a family, and whether or not you're having an influence on the visitors that come to our church. And you know, we sometimes it's just maybe small things that we do. You take the time to speak to somebody. You take the time to help people out of their vehicle. And you're influencing people in that way. And you're showing what Christians do. And what a blessing that is. And then he uses a second illustration, that's light. Why don't they put lights on the floors? They don't do any good on the floor, do they? When you come into Birmingham, you look it up and you see where the lights are up on where? The hill. Where the lights are in here. They're all the way up. Because, why? They give the most influence up here. Okay? He said that you're the light of the world. A city that's set on a hill, it can't be hid. You don't try to hide your light. Listen, we are so afraid to be an influence for good, for the cause of Christ. We're afraid of what people may think. We're afraid of what people may say. We're afraid of that we're going to get in trouble for praying or talking to a coworker about Christ or at school. Listen, the Lord said, you're a light. You're a light, and be a light. Be illuminated, be concentrated, be elevated. You're light. You know, put yourself in and realize that God, that because we know Christ, we've been put in this position. He said, let your light so shine before men, they may see your good works and glorify your Father. It's not to shine the light on ourselves and look how great I am. Listen, it's about God. It's about us. We represent Him. So you're an influence. Realize your influence and realize that God has you for a reason where you are with the people you're around for that very reason. You know, I prayed that yesterday as we went out that we could be an influence to some people. You know, we don't really know, but God knows. But I can tell you this, the more light that you share, the more times you speak for Christ, the more influence you're going to have. I'm saddened about Alabama losing, I really am. But you know what I'm thankful about? That Clemson's head coach, when he won the game, what's the very first thing that he said? He said, J-O-Y. He said, our focus is on Jesus, others second, and yourself last. I'm thankful for that. Do you think he has a lot of influence? Oh, yeah. He has a lot of influence. A little guy come from Pelham, Alabama. I was telling the shoemakers, his dad worked on appliances right up here in Alabaster. He lived, his stepmom and dad lived right around, like 2 doors over from America, and then right over in Savannah Point. Do you think he's got some influence now in his life? He could use that influence and say, look how great I am, but no, he uses his pedestal to say, look how great God is. Look how great God is. What a big God we serve. Listen, folks, and you say, well, I'll never have the clout of this. Listen, influence somebody for Christ. You and I have the message. He said, God said, He put this message that we have in these earthen vessels of us. And it's amazing that God can use us. God can use us to be an influence over somebody else. Isn't that amazing? Listen, go out this week, be an influence for Christ. Let your light so shine. Somebody said you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. That's not true.
That's right. Give him salt.
Give him enough salt. He's going to drink.
That's right. That's exactly what it is.
We're the salt. Create a thirst in people. Create a thirst. I had a preacher tell me that Jimmy Harris came in our church when I was just a teenager, and he told us that. So that night I wore a sign that said, I die salt, you know. So, but we can be salt. We can influence those around us. So I want to leave you with that thought tonight, and this week be an influence to somebody. Come back Wednesday night. We'll be here